Hey guys, welcome back to another redstone and automation video. Today I want to propose one possible strategy to farm lots of ancient debris, which is required to craft the new netherite, tools, armors and weapons, but the block itself also is quite useful. First, let's discuss where you can find the ancient debris and how rare it is. So you can find the ancient debris in the nether dimension, most commonly between layers 9 and 21, for maximum at layer Y15. It's really rare. In one chunk, on average, you can find about 1.7 ancient debris. So this is a 16 by 16 area going from bottom of the nether to the bedrock level. And you can only find 1.6 ancient debris on average. So if you would completely mine a 100 by 100 area, you could get about a stack of ancient debris. It's that rare. You can also quickly check if you would, for example, try to mine for ancient debris, how much you could find. So I'm just gonna remove this here layer by layer. Let's see if we can find some in the wall. It's really super rare. So there's always 4,000 blocks I'm removing, and so far we haven't exposed any. Now we're lucky and got 2. So yeah, there's a lot of digging involved, but this might actually be the best strategy if you just need a handful of ancient debris to upgrade your armor, or if you maybe want to get a full set of tools as well. Then mining or using just TNT manually in the lower nether regions might be the best strategy. But today I also want to discuss what might be the best strategy if you want to supply a whole server with that stuff. Personally, I really welcome the addition of ancient debris and netherite and the challenge of getting it, since lately I had a feeling the game is getting easier and easier and doesn't impose any challenges on you anymore. If you take, for example, look, the effort it took to get perfect enchanted gear, this was reduced a lot over the years. So at first you needed 50 levels to get a random enchantment, was reduced later down to 30 levels, and then later to 3 levels, and you even get a preview of which enchantments you can get. And now, in case you still didn't like what you got, you would get some of the XP back again and your tool or armor with the grindstone. And additionally, you can buy all the diamond tools and armor now from villagers. You don't even have to mine it for it anymore. So yeah, apart from maybe defeating the Ender Dragon and the Wizard and exploring some entities, there wasn't really a lot of endgame content that the game had to offer, and you had to keep yourself motivated somehow. So what I would suggest to get a lot of ancient debris is modify a machine like this one here, a so-called World Eater. There we get TNT dupers going back and forth, and at both ends they're getting pushed down, so the TNT reaches always one block lower. And at the bottom we got another flying machine that takes care of the liquids that remain that can't be blown up by TNT. So now it's getting pushed down again. TNT takes out the next layer, and here we got the sweepers clearing the remaining either lava or water sources. So the problem, of course, if you would try to use a machine like this one here, it needs a lot of head clearance at the top, which is a problem in the nether with the bedrock roof. And the ancient debris can't be blown up, which is good, because this way we don't lose it. But of course the sweepers at the bottom sooner or later would collide with the ancient debris and would get stopped, and then the whole functionality of removing the lava in the nether would be lost. So this wouldn't be good, because the lava would also shield the blocks below in that case. So we need to modify this machine. And here we have a World Eater that was shown by Fallen Breath that deals with the issue of not having a lot of space in the nether with the bedrock roof. So here we got a second flying machine under the TNT duper, catches the TNT and drops it down. So it's probably best if you just take a look at that, how it works. Launch it here, and as you can see, the TNT is caught here and drops down a couple seconds later, then explodes much higher. So this way we could fit this under the bedrock roof in the nether dimension. But of course we would still need to modify the sweeper at the bottom in order to make it work with the ancient debris, so the sweepers don't get stuck. I think one of the best ideas to deal with the ancient debris is to modify the sweepers at the bottom so they could also push down. So they no longer just focus on liquid clearing, they would also push the ancient debris down. So the TNT would actually blow up the blocks under the ancient debris, and it would run the whole distance down to the bedrock, and afterwards the player can just pick up all the ancient debris that got exposed. This would work also especially well compared to maybe pushing all the ancient debris to the side, because the amount of ancient debris is limited per chunk. So the game will only try to generate 2 veins. I think one centered around layer 15, I think it's something like 8 to 20, and then another vein is generated between layers 17 and 117, as far as I know. So you wouldn't have more than 2 or 3 ancient debris on top of each other ever. So this could be a problem if you try to push all the ancient debris to the side, since you would run this machine over hundreds or even thousands of blocks. That at some point you could get multiple ancient debris in a row, and then the machine that maybe pushes those to the side would also get stuck. So if you just push everything down, then you can mine it afterwards. If you would try the solution with the single row of pistons that push down, we could run into the following an issue. So you would have some lava left over in the nether that actually shields the blocks from the explosion below the ancient debris. Then the sweepers go across, remove the lava, but the ancient debris couldn't be pushed down because there's blocks below it. Then in the next run, the pistons are getting pushed down, are now at this level. And then obviously we would need to push the ancient debris to the side. So we would need some additional pistons that push it down first, so they are out of the way of those pistons. And we would need those pistons on both sides, so depending on which way we go. So I spent a lot of time designing such a sweeper with the double row of pistons and added it to the top of Fallen Breath's World Eater. It's kind of nice. Fallen Breath actually based some of his World Eater on my machine. Now I take some of his components and add to it again. Alright, so this is the double row of pistons. So we got row of pistons in front, got alternating slime and honey blocks. Then here we got like the main pistons that remove most of the liquids and also push down. And then we got another row of pistons for coming from the other side. Alright, so this machine in theory can be run completely unsupervised. Unlike in the overworld dimension, we need to worry about obsidian that can't be moved and doesn't get blown up. There's really nothing in the way of this World Eater. So even non-movable blocks like chests and spawners you could find, for example, in the Nether Fortress are not an issue at all. You could really run this over the whole distance and just completely AFK this machine and then pick up the ancient debris afterwards. Obviously, it's quite a lot of effort to build such a flying machine, but you really have to think large scale when it comes to this. So this is just a demo version that'll run over 100 blocks, but if you would run the whole machine over 10 times the distance, then it's still the same effort to build it, but you get 10 times the ancient debris with no extra effort apart from you need to make a 3-wide trench on the side. So it's really worth it if you use a machine like this for large scale. Not for just a measly 100 by 100, but maybe make it 250 wide and run it over 2000 or 5000 blocks. That's what I would do. Alright, it's time to try it out. So you can start and stop the machine by placing a redstone block next to those pistons, like in previous versions of the World Eater, and you can do that on both sides. Alright, here we go. Okay, first the TNT tubers are launched. Then it takes a while till the sweepers launched as well, so they don't get blown up. And here we go. It's probably gonna take a while until the first ancient debris is exposed. At the moment we're just blowing up here the top of the nether. Alright, here we got the first ancient debris. I'm using carpet mod to run the game a bit faster than usual. As you can see, the blocks below it would just get blown up. Yeah, doesn't get pushed down yet. You have to wait for the next turnaround of the sweepers, and then we can see that in action. Okay, here it comes again. And it's just lowered by a block. And this would keep happening until it's pushed all the way down to bedrock. It's also quite interesting. Now we got some lava below. So we might actually run into a situation where the netherite or the ancient debris is shielded by the lava and actually requires the extra row of pistons at the top. So there's probably about 2 or 3 turnarounds until that would happen. And here we got exactly the situation. The ancient debris was shielded by the lava and now gets pushed down twice. Alright, now I'm gonna run the whole machine down to bedrock unsupervised. If I wanted to, Could also adjust it a little bit, use some honey blocks here at the top instead, so I can just put a minecart on it and AFK it. This would be interesting if I would run this over a larger distance, where some of the machinery otherwise would get unloaded if I would stay stationary. So it wouldn't be any problem at all to adjust this and just put a minecart on it. By the way, it's also really nice that Nether Quartz has a higher blast resistance than Netherrack. So while the machine is running, you could also spend some time and just picking up all the ore that is getting exposed. So it's a really good way to get Nether Quartz. Let's also quickly take a look at the lag this machine is causing. Unfortunately, 1.15, 1.16 isn't as optimized as 1.12 anymore in terms of flying machines. But yeah, here we got the numbers. So I can run this 120 watt machine at mostly around 13 MSPT. So there's still potential left in my system to make this machine even wider. You could probably even go 300 or 400 wide, and at that point the game would start lagging. So I could still make this quite wide, but it's not as lag efficient as in 1.12 anymore. Maybe to put it into perspective, in 1.12 I was running a 500 wide similar machine, not as many flying machines obviously, at around 17 MSPT. So I would say there's at least a factor of 2 to 2.5 that, yeah, the versions past 1.12 are laggier. We also got a bit more ancient debris exposed by now. So in total we found 3 so far, and we're almost down to the big lava lake layer. So really the bulk of the ancient debris can be found around Y15. In case you want to mine for it manually, definitely go for the lower layers. You can't find much between 20 and 120. Of course, it will bring up the point that you gotta clear 24 blocks below the bedrock in order to make space for the World Eater. So if you need to spend so much time clearing the top of the Nether, couldn't you just spend the time digging below as well? Yeah, that's definitely a good point. But it's so much easier to clear the top of the Nether compared to the bottom of the Nether now using tunnel bores. I can also later show you those again in case you don't know. Those basically TNT dupers that shoot TNT forward and can clear an area. This is very doable at the top of the Nether because there's only a couple of single lava sources here and there. Running a tunnel bore at the bottom of the Nether now, since the new Nether terrain got changed, is so much more effort because you got all those lava filled caves now that are in the way of the tunnel bore. So this would be a lot more work to run a tunnel bore this low. So that's why I think the effort to clear large areas at the top of the Nether is so much lower compared to the bottom layers that it's actually worth it to build this World Eater. So we're down to Y15, and now a lot of the ancient debris got exposed. Okay, the World Eater reached the bottom of the world now. Of course, nice side effect, we get a nice perimeter out of that. And yeah, here you can see the ancient debris that was left over, and it can be picked up by the player now. Of course, you could also pick it up while the World Eater is running, is also no problem. Alright, let's illustrate it a little bit. I'm going to replace it all with gold blocks. So you can see this is 64 blocks. Okay, let's turn it back to ancient debris. So is the ancient debris World Eater the best option to get netherite? I'd say for most people, probably not. It's a really good option if you think very large scale. So if you just need a couple of ancient debris for your tools and armor, then don't bother with such a huge machine. But if you're into technical Minecraft anyway, and maybe want to make a perimeter in the Nether, definitely consider using this version to get the additional ancient debris as well. And yeah, if you run this over thousands of blocks, it might even be a viable alternative. It really depends how efficient we can make those tunnel bores at the top. So this is the main work you would need to put in manually. But yeah, as I said, it's also a nice side effect that you get a perimeter, and while this is running, you can pick up a lot of Nether quartz is getting exposed as well. So it's actually a good option. Probably not the best option to actually get ancient debris, but yeah, can definitely discuss that. Alright, here's by the way one of those tunnel bores I've been talking about. You would use something similar to clear the area under the bedrock in the Nether. So this is definitely a lot faster than digging it. Alright, so this was the ancient debris World Eater. I'm perfectly aware that this is overkill for the average Minecraft player, but I still find this stuff quite interesting, and we're also still working on more concepts to use machines in order to get the ancient debris. But it's really tough. All the lava is the biggest issue really in the Nether that you get down there. Everything is filled up with lava, which makes it really hard to build machines. Alright, let me know what you think about it. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.